And bam, be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down. Show me something natural. Like, anyway, y'all already know what it is. And the truth of the matter is, I kind of toyed back and forth about how I wanted to do a live today. I've been really discouraged looking at my timeline on X up and down, everybody leaning into a certain artist. And the way I decided to conquer that and clear my brain and refresh my mental timeline is to celebrate the man that got us here. That is the Kendrick Lamar. Because we all know that some artists make hits, some artists make moments, but once in a generation, an artist changes the culture itself. And today, we celebrate that artist, not just for his music, but for his legacy. Now, this is not going to be an in-depth look, feel, or research into his artistry. This is just going to be a fun, laid out 45 minutes so I can get y'all through your lunch break. So, guys, we will only talk about Kendrick Lamar if at all possible and nothing else. Because sometimes some artists changes everything. We've seen that over the 50 years of hip hop. I haven't been around for all 50, but I think I was here when we ushered in most of the real things that happened that are most memorable. We saw LL Cool J shake up the culture and change it. And when he said, Mama said, knock me out, and he established that he was the GOAT, the greatest of all times. He coined that phrase, and we've been using that phrase ever since in hip hop. And the legacy goes on. Then we saw years go by. We saw great artists. We saw a lot of evolution. And then we saw Tupac come in. And we saw him and Biggie shift the culture in a way that touched everyone. I'm not being unreasonable in thinking that all of the ways they touched the culture were negative or positive, but they indeed touched the culture. They taught us a lot of things about a lot of things. They taught us about how to conduct a rap beef and how not to. And just as we recovered from that, we saw Jay-Z and Nas. Woo! And that probably was the first time in a long time that you had to pick a side. Everybody picked a side. And the underdog took 9 months, I think almost, to answer Jay-Z. And when he did, it shook the culture. It did. And it made everybody feel uncomfortable even about choosing Jay-Z at that point because Nas was so ill. Like, the guy came armed with lethal weapons, his tongue and his pen. We rested after that and we saw Jay-Z scrounge his way back and he picked himself up and he went on to be one of the greatest artists of all times, if not the greatest hip hop artist of all times. And as the culture settled down and we saw changes in the culture that were sometimes unfavorable and everybody was in disarray, we saw the young guys disrespecting the culture, and a lot of us had given up on what we thought the legacy would be. And then one day, Kendrick Lamar woke up and chose violence. And when he chose violence, but when Kendrick Lamar woke up and chose violence on that Like That verse, I already felt that the world was shifting. I felt hip hop shifting, and I didn't know how, but that verse was so memorable. It was on everybody's tongue. I watched every reactor that I could think of react to that verse. And every time I saw it, it made me feel that verse again. And I thought, knowing the history of battles and beefs in hip hop, that no one that he mentioned or alluded to would ever challenge him, because of course they knew how lethal this man's pen was. But there was one brave soul that stepped out and challenged him, which was timeless, because every story needs a villain. And this villain was the thing that motivated change in hip hop. And there arose the Kendrick Lamar that shifted the culture and could arguably be number one or number two, no matter how your list goes and how you want to look at it, of all time. And so today we honor him. I honor him, and I honor his legacy. Wherever you rank him, number one or two, you can't deny that Kendrick made people care about rap again. Even me, care about the artistry of rap, care about history of rap. I see a lot of these hip hop podcasters who were doing hip hop who had not studied even Jay-Z or any of the greats, who had not studied Lupe and the fight the powers of it all. They had not even studied this work, and it made them want to go back and read lyrics. Yes, and I even had to go back and revisit. Myself and my daughter started arguing over who had the best feature even. So we had to go back and revisit features. Now, this particular post that I picked out is an Italian poet. He hears Kendrick's feel for the first time. I just want you to kind of feel how he explains to the student about Kendrick and his work. If you were born 95, don't talk to me about hip hop. And that is our responsibility, Ken and Mac. It is our responsibility that they know and respect hip hop. It is our responsibility to make sure we relay all of the information to these kids. Because look, my daughter took me to the Museum of African American History. I had no intention of ever visiting it. And I was surprised, even being a hip hop head, they had a whole section of hip hop and hip hop history that takes you all the way back to, I think, Herc, and even Salt and Pepper was on the wall. Like, this made me so proud. So even if we don't preserve the history and it dies with us, that museum has preserved the history in a way that will take you down memory lane. And if every Black person in America vowed to at least visit and take their children once, they can make sure we preserve the history. But we love the poetry of it all. So here goes the Italian poet as he explains the lyrics that they just listened to. So he's explaining Kendrick's artistry and the way he uses his vocals as an instrument, and how he uses his vocals. You're right, Kenny Mac. Hip hop is timeless. You can put on any hip hop record right now if it's real hip hop, and it's going up.
No? Quindi fa delle cose bellissime, tipo Feel Like You're Feeling and Much Out, che è una figura retorica di eresi.
So he's explaining how Kendrick attaches one word from the previous bar to the thought in the next bar, grammatically, so that they can match in cadence and rhyme.
Dentro la comprensione della grammatica, no?
Now, y'all, I don't know if you ever just really kind of listen to the way Kendrick formulates his raps, because it's not just rapidy rap. Like, this guy is putting together stories that depict his life while also entertaining us. So let's talk about some of Kendrick's accolades, which is the best part. So Kendrick is has the most streamed rap song in a single day on Spotify, who we don't really trust, in Spotify history. So what does that mean? It means a lot, because that's one song, 7.7 million in a single day. So they tried to jack him the other day. They tried to jack him for his record, but the band BTS, who holds the global Spotify record, took offense and called them out on it. And then the most untrusted streaming service in the world, Spotify, had to retract. Because, and I don't mind if you like Kendrick and Drake, that's cool with me, but today we're celebrating Kendrick on this stream. Kendrick at the pop out. Who went to the pop out in the chat? Who, not just the pop out, did anybody get to any of the GNX concerts? Because I did. And it was everything they said it was. So let's talk about GOAT. Let's talk about GOAT behavior. GOAT behavior is when a GOAT recognizes another GOAT.
When so much of the world is enjoying what you're doing now, right? Where do you have the headspace to be able to go and create and look at what what's to come?
I told him I never had a headspace. I gotta always stay working and thinking, not even working, but really just seeing what's the next challenge and what other words I want to convey,
But I think that's where we failed as a hip hop community, because we saw what happened with Vanilla Ice, and we saw what it took to kind of restore order in hip hop. But this should be a lesson to hip hop. Just because you're Black doesn't mean you're hip hop. And hip hop encompasses a lot of things. Nobody articulates this better than G Malone. So if you ever wonder about what hip hop means, what it is, straight definitions, hit up his stream, because he articulates everything that I think but can't say or put into words myself. And no, you don't have to have come from a poor background, but you do have to understand the history of Black people in America to understand it at its deepest and its core meaning and what it means to us as a people. Now, it looks like Kobe had him identified long before some of us. Now, I caught on at To Pimp a Butterfly. I didn't catch on at the Section 80. I would be lying if I said I was there from inception. But To Pimp a Butterfly was my entry into Kendrick Lamar.
The moments that people don't see. How many shots you put up when you're off the court. How many, what's your thought process and the recap on the game or whatnot, when you're not playing or not even watching film.
We have a distinct advantage as athletes, though. It's like when we win a championship, that's it, that's done. You have the parade, that's done, right? So you can immediately go and start working on that season. As opposed to,
that was good what he just said. He was like, when you win a championship, you immediately go and start working on that next season. I had an idea when he said that, because everybody thinks Kendrick is quiet right now. Other people are having their moments, and sometimes it makes us think that our person is not aware and can't do better or supersede what he did the last time. And this morning when I got up and just, I erased my timeline and I just went to explore so that I could catch the news and what's trending. And up and down my timeline, I see people trying to dismantle or negate some of the core things that Kendrick contributed to the culture. And that's disheartening, because we hip hop fans are sitting back allowing them to do it. I'm so disappointed that some of the greats even listened in detail to that album, but I know they're journalists and they have to. And in a way, I'm conflicted, because I appreciate them listening so they can tell me how bad it is. But I'm blackety black, and I've said this 100 times. Even if I thought it was good, I wouldn't care. I would never say anything good about an album of a person who is threatening the very livelihood of this culture that we love. Me too, Proud Glamour. I love his silence. I do, because it makes it, first off, it makes it so much better when he pops out. And secondly, sometimes people get a little comfortable, and it makes me more excited when he pops out. And he has given us so much in the last 2.5 years only that we got enough to tie us over probably for another 2 years. Kendrick, I think I saw this morning that his GNX album just entered back into the top 10 number one albums on the rap charts. 2.5 years old. That's Kenny the GOAT. And Kenny talking to the other GOAT, one of the GOATs, I don't know, Kobe. I love this interview because this is the interview with Quincy Jones. Did you guys see this one? I did. This interview almost made me cry because this was years ago. I'm like wondering where I was when all of this was happening. But Kendrick meets Quincy Jones.
My generation was introduced to Quincy when Thriller. You know, that's where kids my age can identify with. But it's a long list of work he's.
First off, he said his generation was introduced to Quincy through Thriller. How fitting that Michael is back on the charts. Hopefully when the numbers come out, he saved that spot, because I think yesterday he was number one. Beat It was number one. Was it Billie Jean was number one on the global Spotify charts. So hopefully, me too. I don't even listen to the clips. I've been scrolling in silence and reading the comments or listening to the talk. But this is a great interview here.
I don't know how the hell I got to 82. I'll take it though.
How do you ask Quincy Jones what was his musical influence? He's our musical influence. What were yours? That's too much. It's too much legacy right there.
Well, they gave us the gift of being
Musicians.
Where you from, man?
I'm from Compton, yeah.
Do you know where rap came from? Well, where do you think it came from? Bronx?
From my generation, we're gonna say the Bronx.
This man taking in the knowledge. That's why Kendrick can be so deep and so rooted in the culture, because he takes in knowledge. He is like a sponge. You can just, when you see him with greats, he is always the student. It's similar to this when he interviewed all the NWA members. You can see him absorbing like a sponge all of the knowledge and history. And that's why in his music, his artistry can come across so authentic. Kendrick truly is an old soul. And maybe that's why he resonates with me so much, and so many people from not just the Gen Zers, millennials, and Xers, because it's almost like he's speaking from our ancestors and the people who are really of the culture. We can hear it without hearing it. It's really beautiful how Kendrick, I don't know who paired them up. Quincy Jones is at the top of the food chain in music, I would say, was at the time of this interview. And I'm not real sure what point Kendrick was, but this pair was magical because it closed in like a bookend, like the younger and older. I don't know about the YNs.
You can imagine. We went to 800 songs because I learned 50 years ago that a great song could make the worst singer a star. And a bad song cannot be saved by the three best singers in the world.
Wow.
So we went to
I like what he said there. He said a great song can make even an average person a star, but a bad song can't save anyone. Let me hear that again.
We went to 800 songs because Because I learned 50 years ago that a great song could make the worst singer a star. And a bad song cannot be saved by the three best singers in the world.
Wow.
So we went to 800 for Michael.
A bad song can't be saved by the best singer in the world. Haven't we seen that happen like in the last 2 years? Like 40 songs dropped? Nothing can save a bad artist. 1982 Aries Baby said, we can always go by what hairstyle Kendrick had to tie him in to Pimp a Butterfly. There you go. Look. Yes. You're right. You're right. Because I thought to myself, his hair evolves with his albums, except with G&X. With G&X, he started out with one hairstyle and he cut it midway. And I wonder if that was him really trimming off the excess baggage. When he got to the international tour, Kendrick cut that hair. I wonder if that was him trimming off the excess baggage going into the next phase. 40 bad, lazy songs. And now we got 43. They're calling out 5, but who puts out 3 albums, 43 songs, and just comes up with 5? Come on. Just give us a 12-pack with 5 songs on it.
And you was the first to do it.
It's exciting, no matter.
So Kendrick is complimenting him on his jazz influence in music. And we saw that in Damn, right? We saw the jazz influence that Kendrick, that the influence over Kendrick on that Damn album. There was a lot of jazz. In fact, I had to listen to Damn a couple of times. Hey, Jay Smith. I had to listen to Damn a couple of times because of the jazz influence. Because for me, I love all music except opera, and I only like traditional jazz. The other jazz, contemporary jazz. Traditional jazz is a little too busy for me, and I found Damn to be very jazz infused. So I had to listen to it a couple of times, but then after the second time I was hooked for a while. Yep. Almost 150 songs. So 43 on this one, and probably 40 to 50 in the last 2.5 years. So that's 93 at minimum. And now everybody's on to this, Janice Shut Up and STFU and one other one that they're trying to shove down our throat. I think they're just reaching for straws because they want the poor thing to win so bad. But I said I was going to refuse to call his name on this. I'll talk about him, but I'm not calling his name. I'm not giving him any shine on Kendrick's day. But we'll talk about him now. Now that's my favorite pastime is dragging.
Beautiful brother. Music can never be more or less than you are as a human being. I'm telling you. Because you get back what you give, man.
Yeah.
You can count on that.
Ooh. He just told Kendrick, you get back what you give. Some artists never learn that.
Pleasure. It's definitely a pleasure and honor. I really thank you and take it to heart.
Woo! Quincy said it. Quincy said, you're the future, man. He told Kendrick, you're the future. That took me back to my old Baptist church days with my dad at the old Baptist preacher. He said the last thing to leave this earth will be water and music. We have lost so much music to colonizers. We lost country. We've basically lost rock. We cannot lose hip hop. And we have to stop celebrating the mediocre. And we have to stop celebrating the BS in hip hop. So I want to read now. I have a whole list. Hip Hop All Day, I can credit them for this post. And I liked it for this live. Kendrick Lamar, we're celebrating him today, and he has a host of firsts. He is a groundbreaking artist. We need to appreciate him more. We need to mostly appreciate him for stabilizing hip hop. But right now we're appreciating him on the surface while we wait for him to be great again. So Kendrick Lamar's verse on Like That changed the rap game. Since then, he has broken all kind of records. He was the first rapper to cross 100 million monthly listeners on Spotify. Now, I know other people will have you believe that was someone else, but he was the first rapper. And he's in a class with 3 other artists. One of them is Rihanna, one is The Weeknd, and I think the other may be Bruno Mars. But he is the first rapper to cross 100 million listeners on Spotify. Now think about that, because Spotify is only one listening source. There's Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube. People listen to music in a lot of ways. 100 million listeners. That's not streams. Individuals signed up who listened worldwide. Kendrick Lamar had the fastest rap song to reach 100 million listeners, and that was Not Like Us. And that record has not been broken to date. Kendrick Lamar released a rap song to accumulate most streams ever in a single week globally. Y'all ain't through yet. Kendrick released a rap song with the most streams ever in a single day globally. That has not been broken, that I know up until this date, unless it was yesterday. GNX became the fastest rap album this decade to reach 2 billion streams. Yes, Amazon Music. And I used to listen to music on Amazon. Now I do Apple Music. I got a few extra coins. 4 #1 charting hits on Billboard. Released the longest charting #1 hit of any rapper this decade, and that was GNX. Was it GNX or Humble? Because Humble is one of the only 3 records that are 2 times diamond. Kendrick Lamar holds one of those. There's a country singer who holds one, and I forget the other one. GNX was the highest selling rap album of 2025. And it was the most streamed of 2025. I think One Proud Glamour has introduced some other accolades. Let's see. He got 400 million streams on Not Like Us on YouTube. And then he re-uploaded it the other day and set the world on fire. Also Pandora, YouTube, Apple Music, as well as Spotify. Kendrick earned 10 billion streams on Spotify in 2025 alone. He performed the highest grossing hip hop tour in history. And I'm thinking, did it end up being like, was it 339 million, y'all? Oh, you heard Not Like Us was eligible for Diamond too? I gotta look that up. Yes. He won 10 Grammy Awards across 2 ceremonies. He performed the most watched Super Bowl halftime show in history. And now, as of yesterday, it was up to 170 million views of his Super Bowl performance, and it's the 4th most watched of all time. QS Smooth, you heard he was was that was that GNX album or Not Like Us you heard was eligible for Diamond? I'm sure it's Not Like Us, right? Or what? Because Humble's already Diamond. So 1982 Aries Baby says, I'm glad to hear this because his past 2 years, every time Kendrick has accomplished something, they have fixed things to make you know who follow right behind him. Now, I saw Stat quote on 3rd verse say, when he was asked about botting, that he was like, yeah, Drake bots, but they all bot. But I can tell you from my perspective, watching the botting happen and watching the way you can look at the stadiums that were filled and those concerts that Drake filled and know that there's a disproportion to what it looks like the music's being listened to and what's really listened to. And I can tell you for sure that it feels like that team does a significant amount of botting that's more than other people to give the impression and the perspective and the perception that he is doing better. Don't let them fool y'all. Kendrick is still number one. Kendrick is still the GOAT of this thing right now. He is on track to probably dethrone Jay-Z. And if not, fight between number one, number two, and number three with Jay-Z and Nas. Believe me, even if they put Drake in that conversation, it can't have anything to do with bars. Those elementary bars and the way he's rapping now, I hate that they are pretending that that's some kind of flow, because it doesn't. It just sounds like somebody doing elementary raps in a drunken stupor. Miss Aries, what I don't like is him starting 2024. They needed to start from 2012. Yes, because his career did not start in 2024. Started with Section 80, and I didn't pick up on Section 80. I was To Pimp a Butterfly. I hate the narrative that Supac is going to save hip hop. Exactly. We don't listen to no fake narratives and haters that try to tear down Kendrick. Lil Weasel is the GOAT to the Goofy. Yes! Y'all, we're coming up on our 45 minutes. This has been the greatest live ever. Repping the West Coast. Repping Cali. To Pimp a Butterfly and Mr. Morale. GNX and Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers were the highest grossing concerts in hip hop of a single artist. Official BJ2 BK. Based off the title alone, yes, we are celebrating the GOAT today. I'm asking you to hit that like button before you leave. Tell a friend to tell a friend. West Coast all day, baby, yes. And Kendrick Lamar forever, long live the GOAT. You can't deny that Kendrick Lamar made people care about rap again. I want you guys to know that we are here to preserve hip hop. We care about it. We want it to stay around. We have to stand up. It's not about starting another genre. It's about doing what we can to preserve all the work that we've put in for 50 years. We can't let them have it, baby. We can't. Hip hop accountability, and that means holding the people you love as well as your favorite artists accountable. And until I see y'all again, y'all be safe, and thanks for stopping by the house. Be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Peace out, y'all. Sit down.